Welcome back, everyone, to Let's Play and Let's Learn Rule the Waves. I think this is episode 5. We have a beautiful little artistic rendering of some dreadnoughts steaming through the night here. They have these several pictures like these, and it's kind of nice. It does add a little bit of character to the game. So we're pretty close to going to war with France. I have decided to make one change to my battleship composition. I mean, just where they're placed. I'm going to move one over to Southeast Asia because it is true, Southeast Asia does have French holdings. And if I have a battleship there, it's more likely that with the overwhelming force we have, we'll be able to invade some of their holdings there, which would be nice. Similarly, I want to make sure at least I have one battleship in the Caribbean. So I'm moving the Caribbean one over to the west coast. If you move the battleships directly from any of these places to Southeast Asia, they choose to go through this, through the Mediterranean or through any of these places. So the Caribbean would take 1, 2, 3 if it goes this way, but it'll also take 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3 if it goes this way. I prefer it goes this way because then it's going to avoid the central part of the French Navy. Although, if we look here, the French Navy is actually not in Northern Europe. Where is it? One battleship here. Heavy cruiser. Nothing there. Oh, they have some forces down here. I guess they're in transit. Nothing in the South Pacific, which could be useful. Actually, I don't want to take over the colonial holdings of France down here because then I have one more region I have to cover. I'd prefer to just take a whole bunch in Southeast, and yep, true enough, France has a battleship and a heavy cruiser in Southeast Asia. So it's a pretty good reaction for me to move one of my own battleships there. And again, because they have holdings in the Caribbean and none on the East Coast, what I think I'll actually do is when the new battleship comes, which should be in 2 more months, we'll also send that one down to the Caribbean so we have 2 battleships there. And I'll be pretty satisfied with one battleship only in the East Coast and 2 in the Caribbean. So that should do it. And then we'll have battleship and heavy cruiser and 2 in Southeast Asia and 2 battleships in the Caribbean, which is probably appropriate. I think that's just about what we want. All right, so let's go ahead and keep pressing enter. Ah. Oh, interesting. So we have a prestige up and a tension up, which will basically take us to war. Otherwise, we have not without additional funding, which will give us more budget, but lower our prestige. Well, as I've always said, in the beginning of the game, I think prestige is one of your most important resources because it does later on help you with budget. And if you reach low enough prestige, that is the defeat condition that you will be forced to resign. So we'll go ahead and go to war. Anything interesting? Japan has increased their budget. We do have somebody... Oh, we're going around the long way. Okay, well, the interesting thing for us, and thank God, is we didn't go to war quite yet. So because this one... I was going to say let's not send them directly to the West Coast, but... See, it shows that the Caribbean can go directly to the West Coast, but for some reason my ship is not choosing to do that, and I don't really understand why. The mechanic here is a mystery to me. So he's gonna, if I had known he was gonna do that, I would have sent him, just the short way through South Africa and Indian Ocean. But whatever, that's just the situation we have to deal with. So one other thing I want to mention is I was looking at our heavy cruiser. It's really not so bad. I was kind of taking a look at some of the designs the computer was suggesting for us. So we have 4 10-inch guns, 12 6-inch, 4.5-inch belt, 5-inch turret, 6-inch conning tower. I was in the design mode. We'll probably see it here. Yeah, and I was just working through some of the suggestions for the AI, and they don't really build that much better of a. So their displacement is slightly less than mine, but they're using only 8-inch guns with secondary guns at the 7-inch caliber. It doesn't make any sense. We do another one. Let's see. Now they have, again, more 8-inch guns and 7... I don't really understand this. Can you suggest a different type? No, now they're doing 7-inch main guns. So I don't really like their suggestions for a heavy cruiser. So we'll be happy with what we have. I think the mechanic involved here is Light cruisers can't use double turrets yet, so you might as well just make heavy cruisers double turreted versions of light cruisers, but I prefer my heavy cruisers to be a little better than that. And that's maybe not the best decision because if you think about it, oh, looks like we're at war. All right, so we have our first action, and this is a cruiser action. That's unfortunate. That means our battleship won't be involved. So the way these things work is, well, it's a little bit of a mystery to me at times. And when I hit accept, we'll have to drag the combat window over. But, I mean, that's assuming that France accepts. So if it's a cruiser action, that means usually only cruisers and lower will be involved. If that's the case, they're allowed to bring in their heavy cruiser, but I'm not allowed to bring in my battleship. So if all the forces here were to fight each other, I would be in better shape because they have some more destroyers, but destroyers are pretty useless at this era, at this time. And my battleship is just going to work over any of their ships. So unfortunately, that eliminates my strength, but we'll still give it the best shot we have. Okay, so let me see. We do have this window slightly out of the monitor, so let's fix that. It's close though. It wasn't too far off. Okay, good. And now what are we dealing with here? So again, it's just my light cruiser and one of my destroyers. The triangle flag means it's on AI mode, which you can click on the flag and right click. You can change AI control here. I'm okay with it being support for now, but I might actually try to do something special with it depending on the situation. So if we get involved with their heavy cruiser, I'm just going to look at the data for it and see if we have any chance of beating it, because our light cruiser is actually a pretty heavy light cruiser. Just remembering, we can right click on the flag to bring up this window, which shows basically the overall stats, how much fuel we have, how many torpedoes are remaining. We can do order flotilla attack, which orders the AI units underneath of this unit. So this, if I close this window real fast and I show the order of battle, well, I guess it doesn't really show it here, but if I right click on DD hull, its support role and the lead formation is my light cruiser. So everything that is underneath this light cruiser, including, well, the only thing in this case is this destroyer. If I send the flotilla on the attack mode, it'll send my destroyers kind of like into a torpedo attack run, usually, or at least some kind of, they'll make an aggressive move towards the enemy. I use this either when when I have more destroyers, but I'm up against a superior heavy ship. So if I have like a light cruiser up against a heavy cruiser, but I have more destroyers, I'll kind of gesture with my destroyers like this to force distance. But it's usually enough to get the heavier ship to back off, and then my units can go free. But we'll cover that more when the situation actually arises, when we should do that. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and show, let's see, I'm going to not show division names. So if I want, it'll show the division names, but since there's only one ship per, it doesn't make sense. I'm going to do line of sight. That's their sight range, so I can click on either ship to see what their sight range is. And it's during the day, so the time here is just in the beginning of the morning. And we have a sight radius of 19,000 yards, so pretty long. And I'm going to bring up my main gun range, which is probably going to be about half the radius of that. Yeah. Because I know that the radius of my light cruiser guns are about 10,000, so it should be, just a smidge over halfway from the sight range. Now, the next thing I want to do is show torpedo range, which I don't think do they have? Oh, they do. So right now torpedoes are terrible. So you have to be very, very close to the enemy to use them, which is going to nullify, unfortunately, the use of my destroyer a bit. If I want to bring up the full ship statistics, instead of right-clicking on the flag, I can just right-click on the ship itself. And now we can see here's the hull, the Decatur class. So what is it going to bring? I think this means 110 armor piercing, 110 high explosive. I might have that reversed though. And then what is the range? So we can see that the 4-inch weapons that they're using have a range of 8,500 yards. And I know the other ones, the light cruiser, just I think from memory have, range of 10,000 yards. And they have plenty more weapons, so obviously the light cruiser is going to be the main one here. I'm not going to use the hull at all, which is why I'm just going to leave it on our AI for a little while, because it only has 2 4-inch weapons, and it's only useful, I think, against another destroyer. Because it doesn't have any armor, it'll probably just get wrecked by any other cruisers. Okay, now the way you can advance the game, it's kind of turn-based, kind of real-time. I mean, the way I play it is turn-based. You have these options up here to move forward 1 turn, which you can also just do by hitting spacebar, which is normally what I do. Then you can do 5 turns. A turn is 1 minute, so you can do 5 turns. You can say go for an hour, and it'll ask you how many hours you want to run. Otherwise, you can just do run indefinitely. I've never used this middle one. If you're going to run for hours, you might as well just run indefinitely and then hit spacebar when you want to stop. Or you can just pause at any time that you're running by clicking this button. But again, you can use P to pause, or you can use spacebar. Now, if you're running continuously and you hit spacebar, it'll bring you back to turn-based mode. So if you are running continuously and you hit P, when you hit P again, it'll return to continuous mode. All right, this is exactly how fast that turn goes. Now, you can actually change the orders of a unit, like where they're moving to, within a turn. And I'll show that by, let's just go to slower or even very slow. You issue orders, movement orders, by shift left or right clicking. Just any kind of shift click motion will change the direction of your ship. Now, it's not doing anything right now because we're kind of in this stuck phase where we're just about to encounter the enemy. So for some of the missions, you start kind of on autopilot. Like your ship captain doesn't know that a battle's just about to begin. So they force you to just be maintaining your current orders for a couple turns until you sight the enemy. So I guess for that case, we'll just do slow. I'm gonna go ahead and hit spacebar and we'll advance a turn. There we go, a turn has been advanced. So really it wasn't much. And for some reason, I lost my sighting, and I don't know why. Why is that not being shown? I don't know. The other thing I like to leave on is this. This would show fire lines, which shows who's firing at you and who you are firing at. So I'll leave that on as well. This is just an inset of your ship, which I don't usually need on. It's kind of cool, but I won't use it. And I don't know what this does. Oh, endurance circles is just how much fuel you have remaining. This is usually a circle which is, you know, the size of half the globe. So it's not relevant to the battle. All right, let's keep moving. Oh, there, we got the circle back suddenly. Okay, good. So torpedo, main gun, sight. And we can speed this up to normal because we can't change anything. You can see this is all grayed out until we actually get to the enemy. Okay, good. Unknown ship sighted. And they're over here. So now this is all ungrayed, and I can change the speed. I can set it to squad max or the median of the squad max. But usually you only do squad max or cruise. I think we'll go ahead and speed up a little bit. 16 is a little slow. Now note, the faster you're going, you're slightly worse at shooting. So it's nice to maintain a little bit of slower speed if you're engaging in fire. However, that also makes you easier to hit. So it's a balancing act. And let's go ahead and I'm going to shift click over here. And we'll set this down to slow. So I'm going to run right at the enemy. Another thing we have to take account of here is the wind. So the wind direction is this, which means that if the enemy ship is in any line, if my line to them is in the same direction as the wind, when I fire at them, my smoke is going to go downwind, and that's going to make my shots harder to spot, which means that basically I'm going to suffer a bit of a penalty trying to hit them. So what I want to do, knowing that the wind is moving this direction, is try to get them somehow on this side of me. So if my ship was here, I want them on this side, which is exactly the opposite of what we're currently doing. But I don't see any way to force them. The best thing I could probably hope for is to keep moving down and work around this way. If they move up, then eventually I can move this direction while they're moving this direction, and then the wind will be against them. So we'll do that. In fact, I'll speed up to 22. Whoop, 23, 22. Okay, I'll move forward another turn. So we'll go ahead and move a little bit closer to them. Okay. We'll go, yeah, no, we'll leave it on slow. So if I hit space, you can see I can give movement orders in the middle of my turn, and it does affect where my ship is moving. Other than that, a turn, as far as firing goes, is always the same. So your firing is done like at the end or the beginning of the turn. I don't know which. Okay, so he's starting to move up, which is good. That means that we can probably realize my dream of putting him with the wind at his back, which means his shots will blow smoke over in his direction. It looks like he's kind of running away, which is a little confusing to me, and I don't know what our buddy the Hull is doing here. So we might as well take him off AI control. Let's go to squad max, which he's already at, and let's run him this way, because I have absolutely no idea what he's trying to accomplish. Okay, perfect. So now we've actually identified it. I can zoom in and kind of look at their ship. So they have 2 8-inch, 8 7-inch, and 6 4-inch. This is a pretty terrible designed ship, if I have to be honest. However, he does have very good armor. 5-inch belt, 2-inch deck, which is not going to be important, 5-inch turret, 3-inch battery, and 7-inch conning tower. So in every way, his armor is better than us. I think our armor is probably around 2.5. Can we even penetrate is the question. So 5-inch is what we're looking at here. Let's look at our data for the gun. Okay. So we have a penetration of 3 inches for our 6-inch guns. Yeah, that's not good. That's definitely less than 5. And that's even if we get to pretty close range. So below 5,000, we might stand a chance of penetrating him, but that means that we're basically going to be exposed to all of his turrets. And all we have at our disposal is these 2.5 is our 6-inch weapons, and our defense is our 2.5-inch belt. So half the armor that he has. Especially because it looks like, if I remember correctly, our turret armor is only 2 inches because we're waiting to get machinery upgrades and reduce the weight of this so that we can increase the turret armor. So basically nothing is working to our advantage, and the smart thing to do in this case is actually to retreat. So I'm debating whether or not I will or not, because I hate to just leave our first battle like this. I'm trying to think if it's possible I could win it. If he doesn't have any supporting, but our torpedoes are so terrible. What's their speed again? 22? Yeah, 22. So I mean, it's a really terrible ship. I would love to go up against this with one of my heavy cruisers or my battleship even. However, I don't see any way for my light cruiser to successfully engage it, especially because he's going to be able to put 4 7-inch and 1 8-inch against me, possibly even 2 8-inches against me. And I'm only going to be able to do 5. I think we can get 5, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So I can get 5 of my 6 inches to bear against him, but he'll be getting 2 8-inch and 4 7-inch. So he outnumbers me, and the caliber of the weapon he's firing is heavier. All right, well, we'll just get close enough to fire 1 round at him and kind of see how it goes. It probably won't go well. So he's open fired at us. We can now start to see that there's white dots, which are just the random generation of the shot path that this ship is taking. However, they're in range. I don't know why we should be actually firing at them as well. Okay, good. We did fire now. The thing we're looking for is target straddled. So we're kind of dialing in the range, as are they. And we can see that the red line is now indicating that I'm firing at them, and the black line indicates they're firing at me. However, they're about to leave our range, so we'll probably stop firing in a second. And what's going to happen is when they get close to hitting me, it'll say target straddled, which means that I have water splashing on both of the sides of my ship, which means that they're very close to hitting me. So already, now that we've seen the firing mechanic, I do have to make the smart decision here and pull away. So that's going to be it. We'll put this guy back onto AI controlled because at this point it's going to go a lot slower. I'll just go to a squad max and turn away. He's going to pursue a little bit, but it won't matter because I'm a faster ship. So unless my destroyer decides to be really stupid, and what is he doing? Okay, good. He's coming into formation. So we'll eventually escape them. What I'm going to do at this point is turn up the game speed to fast and go to run continuous. And that that's all for this battle. He'll pursue me for as long as he wishes. Okay, he gave up. We'll go to cruise speed. And now we just wait for the time down here to run to the max, which is 500. And if you don't have any enemy ships spotted when you get to the 500, then the scenario is ended. And that's what we're waiting for here. Okay, almost there, almost there. Just go slow. Okay, so no opposing ships are inside of each other. The scenario length has been reached. The scenario is over. Good, so no damage was done. This is a total draw, but to be honest, we couldn't really expect much better than that. All right, well, that was good. Not really. We had a small tutorial on the battle, but no action. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Okay. So what else do we have? So we have our battleship, which is still working through the waters to the west coast, and from there, we'll just have him proceed directly to Southeast Asia. Next turn, we should get our new battleship back, and we'll see what other kind of scenarios are lined up. Ah, yes. I forgot to do this. So when you begin war with them, you have a patrol fulfillment, which is supposed to do your anti-submarine warfare, just to keep enemy ships from raiding your convoys. So I'm going to have to set up a few on convoy defense, but this is exactly what the purpose that I designed my minesweepers for. So I'm going to just choose one from every region, and then maybe I'll do one additional, because if you do have an additional above your requirement, you're more likely to sink enemy submarines. So I'll leave one in each of the territories, and that'll be sufficient for now. So I'm putting 6, we have 6 on 5, so we're all good there. And those ships will patrol. And this is basically I would say the main reason to build minesweepers, because they're very low maintenance, but they satisfy the anti-submarine warfare. I think they do it just as well as any other ship. If that's not the case, it might be that those destroyers are the best option, but we'll just we'll do this for now. Okay, we got Michigan. And they sunk 4 of our ships. Damn it, I forgot to set up raiders, but that's okay. We'll do it on the next turn. Okay, though, this is awesome. We have a battleship engagement. That's fantastic. We're really at the limit of the video that I want to record for right now, so what I'll do is call this one to a close briefly, and then in the next episode we'll actually conduct this battleship engagement, which I'm very excited about. So stay tuned for a nice little cliffhanger. We'll have a battleship engagement in the next video. Until then, take care.